Set. Okay, at 7 p.m. October 19th, 2021, City Hall, 140 Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut. I call the City of Torrington and the Wetlands Commission meeting order.
Sorry, Jay, you just talking to your phone. You won't pick it up otherwise. Okay.
Serving on this commission this evening are members Christine Altman, William Story, Thomas Kalinowski, myself, Jay May, also present Jeremy Leifer, Inland Wetlands Enforcement Officer, Assistant City Planner, and Attorney Victor Michelle, Corporation Counsel. Next is minutes for approval, the 9/21 minutes.
I'll move to read out some minutes from September 21st.
Motion to add a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is discussion. Discussion and vote on approval of proposed stipulation 7 Superior Report docket number LL1/CD-19-6022-896-S. The Association at Greenbrier Incorporated. Versus Inland Wetlands Commission of the City of Torrington, which proposed stipulation is on file in the Inland Wetlands Commission's office.
Does anyone else need a copy? I do have extras. No.
So I have a quick question for Michelle. Does this judgment have any sort of monetary attachment to it? No. None whatsoever.
So, do you want to, Vic, do you want to do a quick explanation of what's going on? You're going to be able to better explain it to me, I think, at this point.
Sure. First of all, let me say that in my view, I don't think the Inland Wetlands Commission did anything wrong in its decision in this case. I think we were right on with regard to the decision. However, what happened was afterwards, TEF, which owned the property, decided they no longer had an interest in this property. They were not successful in getting zoning approval to do what they wanted to do. And so as a result, they had no interest in proceeding. So that left this case pending, which was sort of academic. We didn't get zoning approval, so this case was really not necessary anymore. On the other hand, pursuing the case in court might have resulted in the city losing the case for really no reason, because there's no reason to even litigate it. And I didn't want that to happen. So my thought was to see if there was a way that we could come to some kind of agreement that would kind of make it as if the case was never brought. They never brought the application. And so I was able to negotiate with the attorney for the neighbors a resolution whereby we agreed that it would be stipulation that the property, the case would be vacated as if it never happened, and the court would not rule on anything. And so that's what this memo says. And in order to properly bring that to the court, it has to come back to you to agree with me on that and vote to approve this process. It's got to be done in an open meeting, discussed in an open meeting, voted in an open meeting, and once the Wetlands Commission does that, I will follow up with the attorney for TEF and file whatever necessary papers are in court, and that would be the end of the case. One, nobody lost. That's the way that.
And just like to lead, kind of lead off discussion purposes, it's important for us to get on our record that we're not saying there was anything wrong with our decision, because I personally don't think there was anything wrong with our decision.
It was.
I just want to make sure that's on the record. So this vacating the approval is just, removing it. It's not withdrawing it. It's not doing anything like that to say there was anything wrong with our decision. And I agree, it's kind of a moot point since they didn't get zoning approval, so you don't want to belabor it, but as long as we're not admitting any issue with our original approval. My position is, if Corporation Council thinks this is the best route, as long as we have it on the record.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with you.
Is this also stipulated that it can't be appealed by anybody, or?
It's a stipulation, yeah, it won't be, it can't be. No, because it's an agreement.
Never came up again, it's still rule on it. If somebody else came up with that property.
You start from scratch. Yeah.
It's like if we granted denial without prejudice. It allows someone to me, it's the same thing. It allows someone to reapply if they want to down the road, but it doesn't hold us to anything on that property. It doesn't establish any precedent, anything for a potential future application. If that's the way I read it right there.
Yeah. Right. So I need to have a vote taken, I guess, by the commission.
I need a motion first.
Yeah, I think we're just making them, unless there's other discussion, I think we're just making a motion to accept the document as proposed by Corporation Council. The settlement, I don't know if you call it a settlement, is it a settlement?
Yeah.
Or an agreement? Yeah,
Stipulation.
yeah, stipulation, yeah.
Make a motion that we approve the proposed stipulation, settlement Superior Court document number LOIC 19-022896S, the Association of Green Bar Inc. et al. Versus Inland Wetlands Commission, the City of Torrance, which proposed stipulation is on file in the Inland Wetlands Commission office.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. Thank you very much. Yep.
Thanks, Dick.
Okay.
Okay, next, old business. Show cause hearing, property owner, Ron Raymond, address Felicity Lane, assessor map 101, block 011, lot 008, violation, grading of material processing in the regulated area without permits. Discussion, no site.
The one update I have is I did get a call from Ken Ricca on Monday. That said he's still in process, but he's, understandably swamped still. But he said he is still working on the plan, so at least I got an update from his engineer that the plans are still in process.
Can we just table it?
Yeah, we just it just stays on the agenda until we have a resolution.
Did we give you any sort of timeline?
No, we didn't. But at least I have an update from a professional instead of
Yeah.
instead of the violator, so.
Okay, next is show cause hearing, property owner Jose Padilla, address 37 Stone Ridge Drive, assessment map 21, block 001, lot 205. Violation, work in regulated area without permits.
So I'm gonna pass this down. I'm just gonna, in connection with this, I'm just gonna ask that we add a new application that just came in today as an agenda item to just accept an application from 37 Stone Ridge Drive. The plans that are in that folder are incomplete, but we have an application that we have to accept. I did reach out to them today and said these plans aren't, they only solve half the problem, because we were going to, on this application, approve accept an application for a deck and for the corrections to the water course in the rear of the property. This shows the deck, but none of the corrections to the water course. So, yeah, I did say you have to, the person that put this plan together is a surveyor, not an engineer, so he's got to get an engineer to actually put these plans together, so the plans for the rear of the property. We've got permission from the adjacent property owner if he needs to kind of go over the line a little bit to do work on the adjacent property as well. I'm just gonna, just for the benefit of the people on Zoom, I'm just gonna share the screen.
Yeah, it's.
Give me 1 second. Right, so the plans show the proposed deck, but not any of the work to the rear of the property that was supposed to be proposed. So we would just be accepting kind of the application. We can't really make a determination on significant or not significant tonight, just because we don't have complete plans. So we'll have to take that determination, and hopefully, I told him we need plans fairly quickly, because if he wants a decision next meeting, because we have to have the city engineer look at it too, and return any comments. So that's kind of where we stand now, just basically accepting the application, and it's in the applicant's court.
I move that we accept the application for Jose Miller, 37 Stonebridge Drive, Assessor Map 121, Lot 001, Lot 005.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have to vote to add to the agenda first.
Oh, is it?
It's not on the, it's on the show clauses on the
Oh, I
agenda, but not the
see. Okay.
application, sorry.
So I move that we add the application for Jose Munoz to our agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's added.
And then I'll also move that we accept the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
So, yeah.
Then, next applicant, Gregory Campanelli, location 205 Marshall Lake Road. Activity, new house construction within the regulated area.
I'm just sending the sense of the things now. So, we accepted the application last meeting, designated it's not a significant activity. The only, so city engineer reviewed this, and the only comment he came back with was, for now, was showing some of the grading on the driveway near the shed, near the proposed shed. That area is actually outside of the wetlands areas, so his engineer is making some updates to the plans for a zoning permit that's been submitted. But there's no further engineering comments on any of the work proposed inside that 100-foot zone. What we're looking at is the regulated area to the pond, and all the proposed activity is actually downhill from the pond, but it's within the 100-foot regulated setback. So, based on that, I didn't have any concerns myself. Obviously, there's going to be some revisions and added things coming in for the zoning permit, but I don't think it's going to affect anything in the wetlands area. So my memo, which I sent out this afternoon, basically just recommends approval with standard conditions. Unless things can go uphill, I don't think we're worrying too much about the wetlands.
Right.
I know, Bill, you had some concerns about some of the sloping around.
Yeah, no, they fixed it.
Okay.
They would have everything walked here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if there's any further revisions that have to do with the zoning permit, if they're minor enough, I'll just approve them on my end. If they go into like modification territory, we'll have to deal with it. But I think most of the updates are going to be outside. So.
Can I speak? Yeah, can I speak or come up, just state your name for the record?
I'm very, hello. I'm concerned about that driveway too.
State your
My
name.
thought.
State your name for the record.
Oh, Gregory Kim now. Sorry. I can only hear one ear, so you can just yell at me. What I'm gonna do is on that 90 right there, coming down past the barn, we are going to take that stone wall out, the second, not that one, the next one, come up a little.
Middle one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna take the driveway and we're gonna curve it in more, because that driveway is just temporary. Oh, it's just stone, which I can move it. The garage itself is just gonna shift a little bit, because the garage is on that side, so it's just gonna jog out a little bit. This way, it's an easier terrain to drive into the garage. And we walked the land, and that's what my foundation guy was concerned, he's drawing the foundation now. So I agree that it's a heck of a drop off. But the corner, the back of the house, that's all the fill is just gonna get graded. So I
Yeah,
can
so that
see how you come down that driveway, just shoot straight off. So that will be taken care of, so.
Yeah, so that was kind of the purpose of my comments is all, so this is the wetland regulated line here. So all this stuff that goes on over here is actually outside and we'll deal with it through zoning. So you don't, it's good information, but.
We're aware of all
Yeah,
that, so
okay.
just give you a heads up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary.
I move that we grant the permit for Gregory Campanelli, 205 Marshall Lake Road, new house construction with an upland regulated area.
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor?
I
Motion carries.
I want to be better when you have to ask each one of us.
My name is all over here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Probably hesitating to say aye.
Waiting for your name.
Yeah, wait.
Wait.
All right, next there's no business, and next is staff report, portion report.
You guys have an updated one? I wasn't sure if they made the package, I did it last minute as usual.
This is long.
Yeah, you got the right, mine's just a different word. So this is updated as of last, when did it go out? Friday, Thursday? So it's updated through then. So a couple of these things we, like, if I work my way down to Lincoln Street, that's gonna stay on the enforcement list until he does the work, but he's been granted a permit. 9 Hill, 399 9 Hill Gates also been granted a permit. I think that one's just on, well, I didn't make the note yet, that's on the hold, the 6-month hold, I usually put things on, to see if they remain in compliance. There's a few other things that have kind of passed their 6-month thing, but I just wanted to show everybody one more time before I delete them. Stone Ridge, I forgot to change that note, but Stone Ridge is back out of compliance, so all that nice red, that nice red lettering's got to come out, because it's not in compliance anymore. I just, I don't know why I never changed it over there, but if anybody's got any specific questions on other issues, I can try to answer any questions.
That's one of the chickens and pigs.
Which one?
It's not animal.
Oh, yes. It's second on one, yeah. Oh, yeah, so the animals have actually been removed, and there was some issues with structures, coops, and a shed without zoning or wetlands permits. They were both relocated outside the wetland area. And zoning permits were pulled for them, so. Just another one where I didn't change the note, but they're actually compliant now, so it's just on the hold.
How's Little Steve?
Yeah, property is a muddy mess without the erosion control.
He's
Well,
been
that,
here as long as I have.
well, so that, the problem is when the property dries out, it looks fine. Then when it gets wet, it gets all rutted and messy. So it's kind of on and off, you know. I wind up kind of just about taking it off the list, and then it comes back again. So
What's the manure weed management?
oh, that was at Starks Road. So Deep was actually involved in that one. That is the Momentum Equestrian Center. They board troubled horses, I guess you call it, and they go through training, and I think there's rescue horses involved too. They had 21 or 22 horses, something like that, when I was there.
Yeah, it's down, like going towards Ogden Forest, right?
Yeah.
Then
It's not on the dead end side, it's in the other direction where I think where it meets, was that Sawmill?
Yeah, when you get to the top of Sawmill, you go right.
I heard that.
Yeah, it's not on the dead end side. I
It
mean,
doesn't
yeah,
go to the Ogden Forest. Is that big red bar?
no,
Or is it really King's property?
actually, there's a big red line.
The big red
Yeah,
bar?
yeah, yep. So they were actually, I think there was problems either with mud or with frozen ground or something. So they were piling all their manure right on the edge of the wetland, and it was, you know, every time it melted or rained, it was, yeah. So Deep came in and we walked it with them, and they were receptive and changed their practices. And, they got some assistance from NRCS. So they're compliant, and I think they're on a hold. I think if they're not, I think they're actually compliant now. Yeah, well, to 12-3. So they are in compliance. I just pulled this stuff on here to make sure they stay in compliance.
What's the acreage of that place?
20, it's over 20 acres. Yeah.
There's foxes. The big red bar.
On State
It's,
Road?
there's open fields down at the bottom, but then it goes way up on top of the hill. There's fields, but there's also a big woodlot in the back too. So it's pretty sizable. And I think they may own another parcel right along the road.
It's on the left hand side, right?
Yes.
What about PJ Investments on the road? So the last time the engineer on April 28th, 2020, permits granted.
I'm sorry, which one was that again?
2904 Winston Road, PJF.
Oh, Yeah, I gotta follow up with that actually, because they did, remember, they wanted to acquire that property next door, they got it in a tax sale.
Okay.
So they should be, yeah. That's a good reminder, they should be coming before us with an application to solve all that issue with material storage. That is, for Gil. Yeah, we did that site walk down there, and at the time, we wanted to get that property, and we actually got it in the tax sale.
Now, the Timberlake spraying, gave them a permit, didn't we, for spraying? Or, they told us about spray.
So there's a few different issues there. He needed a license, he's not supposed to be doing spraying.
Right.
He needs a licensed applicator, and he's been down there spraying himself, so I asked him to stop that. He may be coming before us fairly soon to modify. He's got two permits, one was for brush cutting and stuff in the wetlands, but that permit went to Greenwood's land management or whoever it was that he hired. Wetlands permits are just specific to an applicant. So he can't work under that permit. So he may come in to ask to transfer that permit. But he's gonna, I told him, I met him on site a couple of weeks ago, and I told him he's gonna have to prove that he knows what he's doing in the wetland, if he's gonna be doing the work. You know, this was a professional that he hired that I assumed knew what they were doing. And then, there's some other, I mean, there's equipment stored in the property, there's some work, I mean, the way Torrington zoning regulations are written is you can't really do much with a vacant piece of property unless you're moving towards a allowed use. So that property was divided out as a single family building lot. So the problem is he's doing stuff in there without concrete steps to get to building a single family house. He's just like going and clearing, leaving, coming back and clearing, leaving. So I'm trying to work with him to get an actual schedule down to what he's doing in there is relevant to getting to building a house. So I met with him, I think about 2 weeks ago, and he's supposed to give me a schedule of what he wants to do and get before us to basically get before us on those two permits. And when we have him here at the commission meeting, we can get him, going forward with that schedule. And if he's not being benchmarked, he's back on compliance.
How long can he take? Like, does he have a?
There's no,
Does he have an indefinite period of
Yeah,
time?
that's the point.
As a
that's the point,
schedule?
yeah. I think that's the point. If he's not doing a legitimate activity to prep the property for a single family home, he should be, he's not allowed to work in that. So, I mean, it's a very small piece of property. I mean, he's allowed to clear trees outside of the wetland zone. There's only so many trees.
Yeah.
And he falls under, not that this concerns us, but there's Timberlake Association rules up there too, that he has to follow in terms of clearing and all that stuff, so. I started putting together it's in my draft folder in my email. I started to put together a summary. I want to be really clear with him based on our meetings, what he's supposed to be doing, to stay in compliance and to get his permits. So.
Okay, next is discussion 12. Is that big?
Biggest road?
Biggest road, Litchfield. Membership within 500 feet of the Torrington city line application. The town of Litchfield and Commission Berkshire Engineering Surveying LLC. Conduct activity in the regulated area, construct drainage culvert and riding lane.
Yeah, so that I'm passing that down. Now that's a required notice from Litchfield. Dennis sent it in. Dennis Moore sent it in. I didn't have any specific concerns there. Their commission's reviewing it, so there's just one set of plans and a cover letter.
Where is this?
So it's when you get to the top of Town Farm, almost to the top of Town Farm Road. It's one of my road routes up there.
Oh, yeah.
So you go you go, Town Farm Road is like a 90-degree turn and you start going uphill. And when you get to the crest of the hill, there's a farm up there, at the top of the hill. You go supposed to go to the right, and you can, if you're going off the Highland Avenue way, it's to the right.
One other thing I'd ask, anything more on that, solar array?
So it was approved by the siting council. We, on the conservation side, we made a hearing from them. Space donation. So we're to come on that, but we actually had to meet with, we still have to meet with kind of the neighborhood group there. So we can discuss their concerns about stormwater. Not at this point, but for the conservation. So we can, even if we can't address the siting council, we can make our concerns known to them. We're be responsible for making sure that the inspections are all being done. So, I believe that's coming up on upcoming conservation meetings. So we didn't have forum last week, so.
Sorry.
No, it's,
I was with
no,
I thought, so you had said, last time that we had talked about it, because I was talking about, I think it was a soil scientist or environmental scientist, who had really, put in a extensive list of concerns,
it was,
issues with it.
yeah. Use the LID expert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They, you had said they addressed basically all of them.
Yeah, there was a rebuttal that obviously they.
Did they fix that stuff, or they just said not?
Well, so the last time I reviewed it, there was a rebuttal by the applicant. I didn't see if there was another back and forth.
Okay.
But I know there was a rebuttal by the applicant, and that was part of the review of the siting council, so. I think it would have been deep that would have had additional comments for the siting council review. Because they're just like us, they review their applications based on expert testimony. But I mean, that was the last thing I saw. So I'm going through to try to draft up some a memo from the Conservation Commission that will be up to review. That's what the project stands for. There's a lot of wetlands in there. They're maintaining, I know they're maintaining at least 25 feet at minimum from all the wetlands or from pools. I think except the way it's explained to me, except in like two small spots, they got a little closer. But most of it is further than that, but it's mostly at least 25 feet. That's at least what I know at this point. That's what I need to see going on Town Farm Road.
You guys see it?
That was a mess. I saw some signs, people's houses, no solar arrays.
Yeah. So I know Litchfield actually, I don't think I read it, but they put in a letter of support. So that was all I saw from Litchfield. So
I wonder why we don't use parking lots and make this arrays taller.
yeah,
All color shaded.
yeah,
Again, I was thinking about that. We were seeing a bunch of solar arrays when we were driving across the country last week.
Yep.
And, I was like, oh,
see them everywhere
Just
flying too.
why aren't they reusing, or leasing land?
Don't I noticed what I noticed flying a month ago was Virginia and North Carolina are coated with we fly over them. Yeah. Yeah, just something I noticed while was flying.
Interesting.
I mean, if you got to abandon agricultural fields, if you're on the other side
That's
of
the
the
thing I
ticket.
don't understand, is how
Yeah.
you abandon agricultural fields.
Yeah.
Like, just in terms of
But in dollars and
national
cents,
security.
I guess in
Yeah.
dollars and cents, if you're a farm, Yeah. I mean, environmentally, there's positives and negatives, but
Okay, this next is adjournment.
I move for adjourn.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
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 Carries.